Hey y'all, Kid Gravity. It's birthday month, and we all know with birthday month you get a whole list of content, even more so than I usually upload. But before we get into that, I would just like to thank everyone who's either become a subscriber, a member, or just casually found my videos. Thank you, and thank you. Now on to the upload. Imagine being Candace Owens one morning this week and her husband turned her over and looking at her all pissed off. And he said this.
How the hell you gonna get fired on your day off? I don't know.
Hey y'all, Gravity, any day above ground live it, so you already know what to do. Share, like, and subscribe. That's right, share, like, and subscribe, because I'm not like other YouTubers. I'm different. It was all good just about a week ago. Candace Owens is losing friends left and right, and I can't say we're not surprised. She spent years with the rhetoric. Now, full disclosure for those who are new here and who have been here for a while. Y'all know me. I gave Candace Owens her props during the Trump administration. I did. I gave her credit for bringing black folks to the White House. I gave her credit for going down to the Revolt Summit in Atlanta in 2019 and, you know, going into hostile territory and actually standing up for what she was taught. But then when George Floyd happened, yeah, everybody, I'll admit, they were right. She was exactly as advertised. I treated her like a broken clock. But yeah, that George Floyd stuff and Chauvin and the way she acted, yeah, I was like, yeah, nah, I ain't riding with her on this. But like I said, it looks like every one of her friends on the conservative side are turning on her, and I'm sure she's going to play the victim, but that's fine. We all know what's going on with Israel and Hamas, and it seems like the team that put her together, because, you know, she's a conservative cyborg, they came out and said, we not with this chick. Look at this title of this article on Mediaite. Ignorant and hateful Candace Owens nuked from orbit by conservative organization that championed her, obsessed with her own fame. Don't you just love it when they create their own conservative cyborgs and then all of a sudden now they're pissed? This is like, you're seeing Universal Soldier. If anybody ever saw that movie, you're seeing it in real time. Let's read this article. Now, this came out on November 20th. I'm actually recording this on November 20th. So, yeah, let's see. The David Horowitz Freedom Center, a prominent conservative organization that helped launch Candace Owens' political career, released a scintillating statement distancing itself from her on Monday morning. Quote, 6 years ago, the David Horowitz Freedom Center invited the then little-known Candace Owens to its annual Restoration Weekend gathering of conservative movers and shakers. So that was 2017. So she was just getting her feet wet. This was after the Kanye endorsement. She was just getting her feet wet. It began before knowing that Owens herself had claimed that it was the conference where everything started for me. I started my political career on YouTube, making just funny, satirical videos, and I got an email from David Horowitz inviting me to this conference. And let me just tell you what a big deal it was for me. I had no connections whatsoever, she explained. But the organization itself appears to regret its role in propelling Owens to fame, observing that while the David Horowitz Freedom Center went on promoting Candace, honored her with an Annie Taylor Award for Courage in 2018, and hosted her in multiple events, it is so disappointed in what she has become. Conservative cyborg. The statement went on to lambaste Owens for her false claims that Israel is committing a genocide in the Gaza Strip and enforcing Jim Crow-style segregation in its capital of Jerusalem, arguing that it was the kind of rhetoric it expected to hear from Hamas, Black Lives Matter, and the New York Times. Let's translate that for those who will find this video who are not familiar with New Black Media. They love to use buzzwords like Jim Crow. We all know what Jim Crow is, but okay. They act like we haven't seen these videos of what they do to the melanated Jews, but okay. We'll play dumb for them because it's easier. No, we're not going to play dumb. We don't do that here. Segregation, another buzzword. Arguing that it was the kind of rhetoric expected to hear from Hamas, those are the bad guys, Black Lives Matter, code word for black people, every black person, and the New York Times. That's code word for the New York Times. Then it plunged a knife. Listen to this. Instead of focusing on the meaningful activism in defense of American values that brought her to our attention, Candace Owens has become obsessed with her own fame, stirring up drama to compensate for a lack of real achievement. Well, good goddamn. A lack of real achievement. Now, that's mainly true, but I mean, goddamn. I mean, I didn't know. Hey, amassing a net worth of $10 million. I mean, I know she was propelled up, but I mean, y'all got to understand. It's easy that it's hard to be a mammy and make $10 million. It's hard. I mean, Donna Brazile don't even got that. Amala Ekpanobi don't even got that. Kaya Willis don't even got that. I mean, you got to give her a props on it. She figured out the mammy cheat code. I'm just saying, but okay, cool. We continue. Her comments about Israel and her promotion of people like Andrew Tate are part of a pattern. Candace tackles a subject she knows nothing about, never bothers to learn anything about it, and then rides the backlash by playing the victim to generate more money and fame. What a tragic misuse of talent. Well, they basically ran down her resume. But I asked Intelligent Black Society, New Black Media, consumers, and those who will stumble on this video, because I have Candace Owens' name in the title. And don't worry, we're going to give you a brief history on David Horowitz, because for somebody that's cracking on her, you'd love to see it, but then you also got to understand that he's also anti-black, but we'll get there. But back to Candace. Yeah, even though you ran down her resume, we could say that about any conservative. They tackle subjects they know nothing about, like per capita crime that I did yesterday. I have the link up in the right-hand corner if you want to watch that. Never bothered to learn anything about it because, you know, conservatives, and we can also add liberals because we know they like to interchange. They also talk about things that they don't know anything about and never do research on it. Or the research they do, got it from somebody else. Don't go down the rabbit hole. And then they look foolish when we hit them with the truth. But again. And then rise to backlash by playing the victim to generate more money and more fame and money. True. Conservatives nowadays do that. It doesn't matter what color you are. They love to argue. Even when they're wrong, they love to argue. And then they say, oh, it's a war, on white people. Anti-white racism. All the buzzwords that black people were saying years ago, just to bring attention to social issues. Yeah. He said more. And again, the David Horowitz Freedom Center wishes to express its deep disappointment with Candace's ignorant, hateful, and morally obtuse remarks about Israel and the Jews. Ignorant, a very nice way of saying that she's stupid. But okay. But of course, it's not just about the Jews. The Jews are the canaries in the mine. The West is next, and America above all. Another one. Canaries in the coal mine. Another buzzword. Okay, cool. It's one thing to have been alive in the 30s and not realize where the Nazis were heading. It's quite another to be alive during a 75-year campaign by Islamic jihadis to finish the job that Hitler started and fail to stand against their open campaign to create a second Holocaust. Another buzzword, the Holocaust. Buzzword, Hitler. Okay, we all know what this war is over, but we're not going to belabor that. Not going to do that. I did a whole show on that. You could look it up on the history of Israel and Palestine. We know what this is over. But just for quick reference, I call it low. Land, oil, water. That's what this is over. Because even if you remember, about 2 weeks ago, U.S. and Israel were yelling at each other about what would happen to Gaza right after this war ends. We know what it is. Land, oil, water. But we continue. And again, they had more. You know what they do when they get on their racist rants and their white supremacist rants. They just can't stop. So we let them talk. Go ahead. What else did you say? We are in a civilizational war, and Candace is either on the sidelines or actively supporting the crusade against the West. Funny thing. Now, we know in Intelligent Black Society what side she's on. Cool. But what we do, we don't speculate. We take people at their word. So, Candace, she said she doesn't want to see genocide on either side. No government should do it. We will take her at her word. She was fence sitting, as she does per usual, until she sees the money rolling on one side, and then she switches her stance. But on this, she's actually been very steadfast. But okay. So, we continue. We at the Freedom Center remain committed to finding and supporting the activists who will do the work rather than chase the clicks, who will stand up for freedom and the sanctity of human life, who will refuse to compromise with evil and retreat into a delusional isolationism that says if the evil doesn't affect me immediately, I don't really care about its victims or the future that it intends. Right. I love when they said this. This was the one that took me out. This phrase right here, if the evil doesn't affect me immediately, I don't really care about its victims or the future that it intends. You're seeing evil being perpetrated in this country every day against black people, and you've said nothing about it. The only time you say something about black people is when you want to be anti-black. Again, we will show you examples. Goodbye, Candace. We will continue to support those who truly strive to raise up the movement for liberty and life, not selfishly tear it apart. So I guess this is her walking papers. Okay, cool. Owens was embroiled in a feud with her Daily Wire colleague Ben Shapiro over her commentary on Israel last week. Co-CEO Jeremy Boring came to her defense amid calls for her to be fired for remarks that many interpreted to be anti-Semitic. Quote, Candace is paid to give her opinion, not mine or Ben's. Unless those opinions run afoul of the law or she violates the terms of her contract in some way, her job is secure and she is welcome at Daily Wire, said Boring. So that was that. So the conservative cyborg has tried to be human now and trying to be what they're not. And they don't like that. The programming is wearing off. Interesting. But again, like I said, you wanted to know about David Horowitz and his anti-black racism. I'm sorry. Well, we're going to help you. All right, so we move to the David Horowitz portion of the show. And by the way, folks, be prepared because I am going to be doing a deep dive on this man. I think you need to see some of the other things he said, but for now, we'll just keep it on black privilege because as you see on the screen, this was a CNN article that they wrote way back in 2016. And he says something about black privilege to one of the reporters. I think you'd be interested in hearing what he said. So we'll start here. Some say you don't even need numbers to dismiss black privilege. Use your eyes. If being black is such an asset, why do many whites consistently move out of communities, neighborhoods, churches, schools when too many blacks move in? It's a phenomenon that sociologists have long documented, and that's some call racial tipping. Those who argue for the existence of black privilege, however, don't deny these grim numbers. They just don't blame racism for those racial disparities. David Horowitz, author of the book Black Skin Privilege and the American Dream, which had Obama on the cover, ironically, says blacks are still more privileged, though they lag behind other racial groups in varying categories. It's not white privilege that's preventing them from doing better, he says. It's their behavior, such as their inability to build more intact families. Okay. The fact that white people are better off is not a privilege. It's earned, says Horowitz, founder of the David Horowitz Freedom Center, a think tank in Los Angeles created to combat the efforts of the radical left and its Islamic allies to destroy American values. Not all racial disparities are inherently racist, he says. If racial disparities prove discrimination, then the National Basketball Association is racist, Horowitz said. Probably 90% of its players are black. Well, again, they take who applies. And of course, they act like white people don't get drafted nowadays. But okay, cool. They act like white guys don't go first in the NFL draft. I mean, we could go down the list, but we're not going to do that here today. Black privilege is so pervasive that it's hard to miss, he said. College professors practicing affirmative grading hold black students to lower standards than others. Now we know that's a whole damn lie, but okay. We know what he's talking about. He's talking about the black scholar athletes. That's what he's talking about. But student athletes, I should say. I'm sorry. Student athletes, but we understand. Corporations offer programs and internships to black workers, but not to whites. Sure. Black privilege even extends to the White House, he says. Barack Obama was an inexperienced presidential candidate who was elected because Americans wanted to experience a post-racial sugar high, he says. He wouldn't be elected dog catcher if he wasn't black, Horton said of Obama. How about Trump? Okay. Some who invoke black privilege also make another argument. Who says all unearned advantages are wrong? Well, continue. In fact, some are unavoidable, says Benjamin Shapiro, political commentator, author of an essay, Why White People Seek Black Privilege. They said Benjamin Shapiro. Oh, no. We know who that is. Mr. I'm Charmaine from Different World and White Skin. Oh, they back in the day, they called it Benjamin. Okay. Birth to a two-parent family is an unearned advantage. Birth into wealth is an unearned advantage. Being born smart or tall or athletic is an unearned advantage, Shapiro says. But being born white in a rural backwater in West Virginia is not an advantage over being born the son of Colin Powell. By the way, can anybody in the chat or in the comment thread, without Googling it, tell me the name of Colin Powell's son? Blackness, though, has become a tremendous asset in contemporary America, he writes in his column. Despite the horrific and evil history of racism against black people, being black today gives its recipients privileges ranging from landing coveted college scholarships to becoming activists who could build careers on racial grievances, he says. You mean like your buddy Candace? But okay. You said ranging from landing coveted college scholarships to becoming activists who can build careers on racial grievances. Like black people are the only ones that do that. Okay, cool. Sure. I guess we should talk about legacy and missions, but I guess that'll be a long subject in the video. Fuck around, be 40 minutes. I don't think y'all want to listen to me for 40 minutes, but okay. There are even whites now who try to pass themselves off as black activists because it's a career booster. Sean King, Shapiro says, he cites Rachel Dolezal, the former head of an NAACP chapter, who said I identify as black but was called white by her family members. Okay, great. She did it and she got called out. What was the problem? But did you think that was all that David, and we're not even going to talk about Benjamin, but did you think that was all they said? Hell no, come on. If you ever wanted to know how David Horowitz feels about the cousins, there you go. 10 reasons why reparations for blacks is a bad idea for blacks. We're going to save this for his deep dive, but I just wanted to show y'all the title. And it goes on and on. Hell, he wrote books, family. I mean, he wrote books. The man wrote books. And of course, it was a whole Klan meeting underneath it because he kept getting 4s and 4s out of 5s. So we know. Here we go. Y'all will love the title on this one. I Can't Breathe, How a Racial Hoax is Killing America. Look who's the first one. Look at this. This book is essential. Don't miss it. Mark Levin. We talked about Mark Levin. Leo Terrell. Leo Terrell. Oh, boy. He just wrote this. By the way, he just wrote this book 2 years ago. He just wrote it. Oh, boy. But anyway, family, I think y'all get the general gist of it. Dub S is breaking another tool. I mean, it sucks because I was hoping it would be sudden, but, you know, they're going to prolong this one because I guess they built her up. It's kind of, I guess I can equate it to a turkey on Thanksgiving. After you cook it, you got to rest it for as long as you cooked it for. So they cooked her up for years. So I guess they're going to drag this out for years. Oh, they'll just fire her quickly. I think the latter. Please, the latter, because we want to just have a party and move on. But if we have to take the former, I mean, that's just content. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't envision her being at Daily Wire by the end of the year. I don't. And what does that mean? She could just be a loose horse out of the barn, out of the stable, just going roughshod all over everybody, just giving everybody that Motaro back kick.
Motaro wins.
But, you know, we'll see. We will see. We will keep an eye on this. But anyway, let me get up out of here. You already know what to do. Share, like, and subscribe. That's right. Share, like, and subscribe, because I'm not like other YouTubers. I'm different. Take care. Stay safe. I'm out.